Welcome back, Cat 37 class. We're going to go over creating edge fillets. Okay, so for the edge fillets icon, we're going to use the yellow fillet command. Okay, so download the file. I already have mine open. All right, so to get to edge fillet, you're going to go to the shape fillet, go to the drop down, and you'll have access to the second icon, which is the yellow fillet, edge fillet command. All right, so let's go to CATIA. All right, so let's go ahead and insert a geoset. All right, so once again, go to shape fillet, then go to the drop down, and the second one is edge fillet. Okay, so edge fillet. And just a reminder, edge fillet you want to use on a surface that's joined. So even though this looks like two separate surfaces, this is one entity. And it seems to be the join. Yep. So these two surfaces are joined as one entity. So we're going to now pick the edge. We're not going to pick the surface. We're actually going to pick the edge to create our fillet. All right, so let me increase this. Let's take a look at what size fillet to use. 5 millimeters. Okay, 5 millimeters. Oh, 15 millimeters. Okay, so let's increase this fillet to 15. And let's preview. Okay, I'm gonna hit OK. So I went with the 15 millimeter fillet. And very similar to shape fillet. So the difference is, on the previous video, shape fillet, it was two separate surfaces. On this one, it's one joined surface, and we pick a sharp edge to fillet. Okay, and very similar to shape fillet. Just like we have a radius fillet, we can also go with the quarter fillet. Okay, so in this case, 15 millimeters is the distance from the tangent line to the other tangent line. And preview, so again, 15 millimeters from one tangent line to another. And just like shape fillet, you can also go with minimum fillet. And preview. Let me hit OK to show you what a minimum fillet looks like. So that's the minimum amount as far as the fillet. The shortest fillet it can give you between the surfaces that are joined, and we're filleting the edge. Let's go with a straight fillet. Okay, straight fillet. And let's go with a maximum fillet. Okay, so it goes as far as it can go. And most likely you're going to go with smooth. Okay, so it smooths it out. All right, so let's go back to the same fillet. And let's go back to radius. Okay, so this has a radius of 15. We can always measure with our calipers, and you can see that this has a radius of 15. Okay, let's double click. Let's go back. Okay, so we have the option to go tangency propagation, minimal. Let's see if it makes any difference with minimal here. Not in this situation. So we'll just go with tangency propagation, the default. All right, so we also have the option to go variable. So right now it's a constant 15 millimeter radius. So if we go with variable, now it gives you more than one option. So we can go See, this one says 15, this one 15. We can double click on one of them and let's make one of them 5. Okay, so this one here is 5, this one stays at 15. And hit OK. There it is, 15. My mistake, 5 to 15, so you can do a variable. Let's go back. So right now it's giving us this shape, this cubic shape. And if we go linear, it's going to straighten it out. Okay, so we're going to go with the linear option. And OK. Okay, so once again, 5 millimeter radius, 15. And it tapers linearly. Okay. Let's go back. So you can always add more. If you go here to the little bag of goodies, you can always add more. You may need to add a point or pick any corners if there are any corners available. Okay, sometimes you're dealing with multiple patches. In this case, we're only dealing with 2 large surfaces that are joined, but sometimes you have multiple patches, which allows you to pick more points. So you can add more points. Currently, it's using the endpoints to input our radii. But if there are any other sharp corners, or if you want to add points, that'll allow you to insert more radii. Okay. I'll go ahead and close this, and let's go back to a constant 15. Okay, so constant 15 all the way across, and hit OK. And there it is. All right, let's continue on with the tutorial. Okay, so when we're using a 15 millimeter radius, and just like shape fillet, you can control the radius. Do you want it to be parabolic in shape, elliptical, hyperbolic, right? So you do have those conic options. So if we go back, double click on the fillet. Okay, so let's see, where is that option for, is it this one? No. Oh, here's the option. Didn't see it, conic, right? So we could go with the conic fillet. Instead of going with the circular, we can go with conic. 0.5 is parabolic. Preview, so see, it looks more parabolic. So first we had a constant circular radius, and by picking the conic parameter, 0.5 is parabolic, right? And if we drop it, instead of 0.3 preview, that is more elliptical. Okay, so if it's smaller than 0.5 but greater than 0, it's elliptical. If it's greater than 0.5, it's hyperbolic. Okay, so let's go back. So 0.5 preview will give you a parabola. If we go beyond 0.5, let's go 0.7 preview. It looks more like a hyperbola. Okay, so this helps with styling. So if you work in a automotive studio department, one thing that's ugly is a circular fillet. They'll tell you clean it up, style it. When they mean style it, they want you to use a parabolic or maybe a hyperbolic shape. That way it's hard to tell where the tangency starts. So if we leave it like this, 0.7 hyperbolic and OK. If we don't have this line, it'll be tougher to tell where the fillet starts. It's just a smoother transition. Let me decrease this. 0.7 is a little too much. Let's go down to 0.6 and OK. So what's nice about this edge is that it's hard to tell where it starts. We know it starts here visually, but it's just a nice smooth transition from one surface to another and onto the other. Okay, it's a cleaner transition. In this case, maybe parabolic will look better. 0.5. Okay. All right, so let's go back to non-conic. Let's make it back to circular. And preview. Now it's back to a boring circular fillet. All right, so now we have other options. Okay, so let's go back. Let's see if I didn't miss anything here. We'll come back to this one. Okay, so we can also limit how far the fillet travels. So we can go up to a surface or a plane. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so we can say, hey, we want this fillet to go all the way up to this plane and stop here at this plane or surface, plane or surface, right? So we can put limiting elements. So we can limit how far this fillet travels, and we can pick this surface as our limiting. Okay, which portion do you want to keep? There's a red arrow. Okay, let's go ahead and hit OK, see what happens. So the red arrow was pointing in this direction, and see where the fillet ends. It ends on that green surface. Okay, so this is limiting how far the fillet goes. Let's double click on it and click the red arrow to flip it so we keep the other side. Okay, and there it is. Okay, so those are limiting elements. You can use a plane or a surface. Let's go back. Let's see, do we have this one? Okay, let's go to edge fillets, number 2. Let's go ahead and open this one. Okay, let me insert a geoset. And let me light it up a little bit. It's a little too dark. Let me use... Oh, it's still too dark. Let me change the color on this one. So this is joined. Properties. Let me make it a lighter blue. It's hard to see. Okay, much better. Okay, so we're going to do a fillet. Okay, so this is a joined. We have 3 patches that are joined as one, so it's one entity, right? So it's an extrude, 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 and joined. All right, so let's go ahead and do an edge fillet. Okay, so edge fillet. So make sure it's the yellow one. And we're going to use this edge here. Let's increase it at 20, see what we get. Okay, there it is. Okay, and the parent surface is in the back. As you can see, the blue surface is in the background. Okay, let's go back. So they're asking us to do a fillet of 45. Okay, so let's do a 45, which may give us an error. Let's check it out. So let's double click on that fillet, increase it to 45. Yep, it's going to be a large fillet. Let's see if we don't get an error message. You can already see in the preview it's going to go off of the surface beyond this surface. And hit OK. And it's giving us an error message. Do you want to add an explicit keep edge? Otherwise, the system will compute one. So let me hit no, see what it computes. Okay, so it's telling us, yeah, we'll do the fillet. But it's got to stop somewhere because this fillet is just too large. Fillet is 45, which is a lot more than the distance between the 2 planar surfaces. So let's go back. Okay. Do you want to manually instead pick an edge? Yes, I want to do it myself. Okay, so let's go to keep edges. Okay, so I'm going to go keep edges. I'm going to keep this existing edge. Keep that. Okay, so keep edges. Go ahead and do the 45, but we want to keep this edge. So this fillet may actually push upward in order to keep this edge, I believe. All right, so let's hit OK. And there it is. Okay, so I was able to accomplish that radius while holding onto this edge, the original edge on this surface. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so we already did this part, limiting fillets. And we don't have this one. We don't have this CATIA file. So here it's trying to do a fillet, as shown in gray here. It's trying to create a fillet. And there's an error message. Looks like there's some type of discontinuity between these two surfaces and these two surfaces. So the fillet doesn't know where to go from here. Okay, so saying that you can solve this by picking these edges and allow it to compute the fillet on its own. One thing I do have to bring up is fillets can be a nightmare. When it comes to modeling something complex, whether it's solid or whether it's complex surfacing, you tend to want to save your fillets for the end. Fillets can be a nightmare. And the reason is because the more curvature there is, the more direction or different directions a fillet can go, I can say. The fillet sometimes doesn't know which way to turn. Does it turn left? Does it turn right? So it just seems to take the path of least resistance. And sometimes it just doesn't understand where to go. So you're going to get a lot of error messages like it's shown here. So save your fillets for the very end, because it can be a big nightmare. Okay, so you have to sometimes guide the fillet along, either by picking the edges in a certain order, right? Preferably clockwise or counterclockwise, or changing some of the parameters to make it travel along. Okay, so save your fillets for the end. Another thing is fillets, they eat up a lot of memory. When you do a straight fillet like we did earlier, so a simple straight fillet, it's linear, it's not a problem, doesn't eat up a lot of memory. But when you create a fillet that's traveling and going in different directions, traveling along like it shows here and turning and twisting, it can eat up a lot of memory and it can slow down your computer and in some cases freeze up CATIA and or your computer. Okay, so be aware of that. Save fillets for the end. When dealing with the complex fillet, you may want to save your work first before creating that fillet. Okay, let's take a look at this one. So let's go ahead and open up edge fillet number 3, CATIA part. Okay, so we're going to be creating a edge fillet and also an edge fillet around this cylindrical shape or cone shape. And we're going to use a radius of, it's hard to tell. We'll try a radius of 5, see what we get. So let's open up the file. Okay, let me change the color on this one. Right click properties. Let's go 10. A little too bright. Let me change the lighting. View, lighting. And yeah, it's a little better. Oh, I have 2 lights on. Let me just turn one on. Okay, that's way better. Okay, so there's our surface and we're going to do a fillet and another one here. Okay, so let's see if we can do it all in one shot. So edge fillet once again. This is all joined as one entity. Okay, so let's go ahead and add our fillet. Oh, I picked the surface by mistake. Notice here it says you picked the face, so it's going to try and fillet everything here and there. Okay, so that was not intentional. Let me hit preview, see what we get. So it's defaulting to 8 millimeters. Okay, so I chose the face, so it automatically looked for edges here and here. Let's hit OK. And here's what we get. Okay, let's go back, double click on it. Okay, let me do it the hard way. Let me clear this up first, clear the selection. And this time I'll pick the edge and not the surface edge. Okay, so there's the edge, and then let me pick this edge, hit preview, and okay. That's not exactly what we want. All right, so let me fix the lighting again. It's a little too bright, or the direction of the light. All right, so how do we fix this? Okay, so we can pick the option trim ribbons. So it looks like it's a radius of 8. Okay, so trim ribbons, and it should clean this up. Okay. Okay, so this doesn't look good, so let's double click on it. And we're gonna go with trim ribbons and preview, and let's hit OK, and it cleans it up for you. Okay, so it's always good to double check, make sure this is what you want, or change the size of the fillet. Okay, so it cleaned this up for us. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so we did the trim ribbons and it worked good. All right, so let's keep going. Okay, let's open up the next one. Volumes, actually, filleting volumes. Filleting volumes is, volumes are surfaces that are automatically turned into solids. Not everybody has the license to create volumes and fillets. My mistake, volumes, where you generate a surface and it automatically fills it up and turns it into a solid. Let me see if we can do it anyway. Let me open this file. We'll find out if we're able to do this. Yeah, so these icons, they tend to be purple. Okay, so the volume, let me see if we have it. Let me right click on any icon. I'm looking for the volume toolbar. I don't see it. Okay, it's an extra add-on. You have to pay extra for this license. But let's go ahead and see if we can round off this corner with edge fillet. This doesn't allow me to pick the edge. All right, I'm going to cancel. Okay, so I believe this is a solid. So let me go to part design. So currently we are in generative shape design. Let me see if we can do the fillet in part design. So for surfaces, fillets, we got to do them in generative shape design. Let me go over to part design. Part design. Let's see if we can do the fillet here. Nope, doesn't allow us to do the fillet. Let's see if I can move this closed surface into part body. Let me copy, paste. Nope. So, guess we cannot do it. Okay, so we're going to stop here. It's not even giving us the option to do a fillet on this one. All right, so yeah, we're going to have to stop there. All right, so this is the end of edge fillet.